Bergen, I live in Essex, but clearly, if we have in the United States Congress the two smartest men in all of that body coming from one county, Upendra and Rush, that would be extraordinary. It would be extraordinary. And I don't know what this county would do with that kind of representation. You could add up the IQ of a large group of the other ones and it would still be less than the two of you combined. The only thing that I have to complain, I'm going to be one of the rare people stumping for two congressional candidates, actually insults them right now. But I think they have an ungodly, unholy amount of hair on their heads. And if they just shaved their heads, they would be more effective and more efficient. Because it's just like swimmers, it's less wind resistance, less drag as you're moving throughout Congress. So gentlemen, wrap this election up in 10 days if you shave it now. All right, no? Don't do that. So look, this is exciting. As much as I want to talk about the two of them, at first I want to give acknowledgement. I heard to my fellow mayors here and the deputy mayors, there's a lot of folks, but I just want to give just acknowledgement of somebody that has been a hero of mine, a friend of mine, a friend of Newark's, and truly a champion of our state. In a time that we need statesmen. We need statesmen and women that are above politics, that are not reflectively right or reflectively left, that are sober, that have sound analysis, that really are about policy and moving the state forward. It is always good for me to see him, and I want to acknowledge him right now. Would you all give it up for Governor Florio, who's here right now? All right, so now I've got my two rock star, rocket ship, rocket scientists. I can't spell the things that they've got degrees in. These two gentlemen right here, it's extraordinary. Obviously, I was just with Bob Menendez. His leadership right now, if you see what's happening in the United States Senate, that they're the kind of things that they're blocking, the kind of rhetoric that they're espousing, we need to get back our Senate, and obviously, we need to get Senator Bob Menendez reelected in the state of New Jersey. Now, again, and I am burning up the freaking flyer miles right now, running around the country, from Scranton, Pennsylvania, to Seattle, Washington, to Tampa, Florida, all over the state of New Hampshire. We're talking about another guy that I've known since 2005, met him in a hotel room in Newark, New Jersey, looked into his eyes, felt his spirit, heard his ideas, and he was my friend, and now he is my president. This is obviously about President Barack Obama as well. But if you will allow me, though, when you've got sort of, I feel like Nick Fury, when you've got America's greatest heroes on the ballot here in Somerset, when you've got two phenomenal Congress people, when you've got an amazing, stalwart senator, when you have perhaps one of the more remarkable leaders the United States history has seen in President Barack Obama, all the focus is on them. But I'd like to return the focus to where it really belongs. We are a nation that resonates with this ideal that the power of the people is greater than the people in power. Yeah. It comes from a long tradition of understanding, drawing in America from multiple traditions. From the old African parable that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Yeah. From the Jewish tradition that says, Jews together are strong, but Jews with other people are invincible. From the tradition of the civil rights movement, best captured by that man in a jail cell in 1963, April of that year, in a jail cell in Birmingham, who penned the immortal words that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, that we all are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a common single garment of destiny. This is the story of America. In fact, it's our very hallmark, this ideal, those three words from a dead language, e pluribus unum. We know as a nation that we are stronger when we stand together, when we recognize each other for who we are, equal partners in the story of this democracy. Think about this country. We as New Jerseyans, we should know our own history. In this great state, this is, I know other states try to claim it, but if you think about the spirit of America, this idea of that we are the nation of impossible dreamers making real on those dreams. If you think about the Battle of Trenton and what it did to an army in retreat, to a dream with its back against the wall, if you think about that, this state has had a story to tell for so long. And what I believe now is this idea, this recognition that this nation founded with radical ideas, not as a theocracy where we all pray the same. No, we said that's not important. Not with a monarchy with some divine right of kings and queens to rule us. We said no. Not with a common racial ancestry. We say that actually doesn't matter. We're the first nation to put forth these ideals, the longest enduring constitutional democracy on the globe, that said very powerfully that we recognize the equality of each other. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we all are created equal, and that we actually not only have rights guaranteed, but responsibilities to each other. And this has been that democracy. Generation after generation. Americans coming together and doing things that other folks said is impossible. In fact, American history is a testimony, perpetual testimony to the achievement of the impossible. Generations that got together in small groups to do extraordinary things. Got together in town greens, got together in church basements, got together in storefronts, got together in barnyards to plot and to think and to conspire about how to make this democracy more inclusive, to how to make this democracy richer and better and bolder. This is America. And here we are at this precarious point in history when the very ideals of our country, ideals of equality, ideas of opportunity are under assault. Think about this right now. I am so proud that I have a president that is rocking the foundations of history and building upon the foundation of our past with honor by saying simple things that you would think we should take for granted. Like ideals like saying, hey, the first bill I'm going to sign is going to give a testimony to the truth of our country, that men and women have equal rights. And hey, if a woman works the same job as a man, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure she can get equal pay. I'm going to say that if it comes time to serve in our military, I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care who you choose to love. If you have courage in your heart, if you have strength of your convictions and the capacity to serve, then you're going to serve. And he got rid of don't ask, don't tell. This is a president that has built upon that tradition of equality and inclusion in everything that he's done. We in New Jersey know this. We stand at liberty's back. Yeah. As she stands with her torch held high, we know, New Jersey, we are Ellis Island. We know that our immigrants are an important part of our nation. That everybody here, all of us, very few of us perhaps, were here generation after generation. Many of us came one way or the other. We weren't all on the same boat, but we all got here. And so now we have a president that stands up and says, hey, I'm not going to chase out our talent. I'm not going to chase out the children that came here as babies, that studied in our schools, that know only one national anthem, that know only one pledge. They're valuable. And he stood up and he's supporting the Dreamers Act. If you look at the consistency of this president, he, in every step of the way, is reaffirming our values of equality. But there's something else. It's the value of industry. It's the value of hard work. It's a value that has built a middle class that has been more inclusive and more bold, that gave opportunities to take families out of poverty like mine to possibility, to prosperity. This is the truth of what Barack Obama has stood for. And at the worst of our nation's crisis, when the auto industry was in free fall, when the financial industry was crumbling, when the foreclosures were rising, as the unemployment as well, this president stood up and stood into that area and is making progress that's unheard of. I was on the phone with campaign leaders yesterday, going through the data. 30 months of private sector growth. 17 different tax cuts for small businesses. Take it easy, focusing on making sure that we as a nation do the right thing by people struggling to make ends meet. Yes, Cory, we can bail out the people that were on Wall Street, but they got to play by the right rules of fairness and equality. We can't have a free-for-all. Middle-class families trying to balance their budget should play by the same rules as Wall Street. I listened yesterday as I was going to do an appearance on CNN, listening to the passion of these campaign workers who were reaching out to me to talk to me about before my appearance, and the data was stunning. Like this is the first year, the most unemployment rate has dropped in this year, more so than any other year in 17 years. our economy is finally getting on the right track. And so the amazing thing now is I see what Obama has done to invest in us, to understand that education is critical. You can tell me you love teachers all you want, Mitt Romney. You can say that. You can say you love women all you want. I heard nothing else. I love teachers. I love women. I heard it during the Republican National Convention. I'm hearing it on the stump. I'm hearing it in debates. But I'm sorry. My mama would hear say that all the time. Boy, you can talk all you want, but until you show me something. Because you can't talk right and walk left. And so don't tell me you love teachers and then block our ability to bring more resources to our schools to secure those teachers' jobs and get them the opportunity to give education. Don't tell me you love education when you're cutting Pell Grants when the Ryan budget would have done just that. Support the president who's doubled Pell Grants, made more resources available to keep teachers in their jobs, who values public education. This is about creating opportunity. I see in my city right now, our biggest economic development growth period since the 1950s in Newark, our first hotels in 40 years, our first office towers in 20 years, and I know more importantly though, it's the small businesses we're starting in Newark. I was in Flint, Michigan, sitting with a small business person, talking about the same program that helped start a business in Newark, New Jersey. And here is a president that's standing up for things like the Small Business Administration and access to capital and 17 different tax cuts for small businesses. And here is our opponent who may want to talk about being this free market entrepreneur, but I'm sorry. His budget is not about investing in small businesses. He's not about expanding access to capital. He's not about empowering non-traditional entrepreneurs to start businesses in America. And so for me, it's not about the candidates. For me, it is now the call of the question. Will we as Americans stand up in line with our traditions, of our values? Will we continue the progress? And I just want to tell you one last story that I've been telling everybody because the difference was shocking to me. 4 years ago, I went to go vote, almost to the day, 10 years from now, 4 years ago. And I went to vote and I saw something I never saw in Newark before. There were lines around the building. Now, I know I'm in Somerset County and I see some of our mayors out here and I know how you all treat folks down here. You're so nice and good. I came in here just hugging people. Now, my city, I love Brick City because we keep it real, okay? I always say, people say, why do they call it Brick City? And I'm like, it's not because of the architecture, don't be fooled. We are Brick City because we're like bricks. We're hard, we're tough, we're resilient, we're enduring. And so when I walk up to my polling site, it's not like here in Somerset County. Nobody says, nice to see you, Mayor. Nobody says, oh, what a historic day, Mayor. I walk up to this long line, the woman on line turns around, sees me coming, taps her foot for a little bit, puts her hand on her hip, and she says to me, don't you think you're cutting in this line now? You're gonna wait just like everybody else. You're not special. My cell phone starts blowing up, my staff wants to know where I am, I got so many stops to make. I answer the phone and they say, Mayor, where are you? And I said, I'm not special. I'm waiting in line just like everybody else. I get to the front of the line and now there's a crisis at the front of the line. There is a woman there screaming with her hands up, defiant, with this indomitable will, saying, I don't care if my name is not in the book. I am voting for Barack Obama. And now you have to understand something. This is the difficult situation that mayors are put in. I walk there and I see women screaming at the top of her lungs. I see everybody stop looking at her, and then they look at me as the person of authority. And the people that are looking to me are perhaps the people that deserve the most sympathy in all of our nation during elections. The poll workers. You all know the Sermon on the Mount. These guys have difficult jobs. They're up early, they go to bed late, they're working all day, no respect. They get nothing to eat but 2 stale pieces of bread and some bologna. And these people, Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. I don't know what version of the Bible you all have, but it also says in my Bible, blessed are the poll workers, for they have a tough job. And so I now walk in there as mayor of the city. I look at the woman yelling. I look at the poor poll workers who looking at me and saying, Cory, do something. And all I do with authority, conviction is my voice, ready to take control of the situation. I put up my hands and I say, she's not leaving here until she votes for Barack Obama. Now, don't get me wrong. Wonderful moment. 1 year later, exactly 1 year later, it's voting day in New Jersey. I go to the polls. There is no line whatsoever. No line. I walk right in and the poll workers look lonely. They forgave me for what happened last year. They're just happy to see me. This goes to show simply that if we don't show up, if we don't come out, we have no right to complain. I get a little upset with some of my friends that start yelling about the person that got elected in that election 1 year after the presidential. And they say, Cory, they're cutting the earned income tax credit, which is a tax increase on working families. They tell me that we closed here in New Jersey offices that are Planned Parenthood. They want to go through all the things that they did to us. And I said, no, we did this to ourselves. Because when history called us, when the community called us, we did not come out. And so I want to tell you right now, as I begin to close, I want to tell you right now, this is the choice that we have to make. On this ballot here in Somerset, there are great leaders here. I see a sign up there. Marie as well for State Assembly. Shake that sign. There's some pride there. We've got a critical assembly seat. We've got congressional seats. This is not about the candidates anymore. They've done their job. This is about us, and will we show up? Will we turn out? I'm telling you, Upendra's office is not going to be decided by the two men running for it. It's going to be decided by us. I'm telling you, whether we see cuts to Medicaid, whether we see the voucherization of Medicaid and the privatization of Social Security, that's going to be determined by us. And so now I give you the simple question. Will we in this city, in this county, in this state, will we give a clarion call resonant with our history, a call of conviction, a call to the conscience of our countrymen, and stand up and say with a roaring yes, we are ready to move forward and not move back, because that's what they want to do. Look around. They're moving us back on voting rights. They're moving us back on environmental rights. They're moving us back on civil rights. They're moving us back on women's rights. We have to say no. And so now I've got a few yeses for you. Let me see if I can hear them right. Are we ready for change? Well, remember what Martin Luther King said. Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability. It must be carried in on the backs of people willing to work for it and struggle for it. Let me ask you another question. Are we ready for leadership? Well, remember what Barack Obama said. We are the leaders we've been looking for. Not them, but us. We must lead. Let me ask you another thing. Are you ready to pray for this victory? Well, let me tell you what Frederick Douglass said. He said, I prayed for years and I was still a slave. It wasn't until I prayed with my hands and prayed with my feet that I found my freedom. Let me ask you one last question. When election day comes and goes, are we ready to stand together as one people, echoing the great and legendary affirmative action efforts that made this country true and real? Are we ready? Don't answer yet. Are we ready to stand like New Jerseyans did in the past? People who stood for us in wars, people who stood for us for freedom, people who stood for us to build the towns and the courthouse steps that I now stand on. Is the answer yes? Yes! Then let us do the work. Let us carry the burden. Let us fight the fight, because I believe in us. I believe in New Jersey. I believe in America. I believe Barack Obama will be reelected as president of our United States, and we're going to send him
the two smartest men in America to have his back every single day. God bless New Jersey, God bless Somerset, and God bless America. Thank you. All right, and one more thing. Peg is like the younger sister I've never had. But one election at a time. One election at a time. But I do want to say this. Thank you. I do want to say this because the sign was being raised before, and the one person I didn't mention, Marie Corfield. You have to understand, as much as this election, we're looking at the federal election. We're looking at what's happening. We all know what's happening right now in New Jersey and Trent. There is a fight going on for the values and the ideals of our state. And I am very worried about here in New Jersey, the erosion of our environmental rights. I'm very worried as the debt per capita keeps going up because we keep kicking pension payments into the future. I'm very worried about things like access to health care here in our state. I'm very worried about access to Planned Parenthood, about access to the kind of things that's made New Jersey strong. I'm very worried about these things. But I was always told, worrying is like a rocking chair. You go back and forth and don't get anywhere. My parents said, don't get caught in a state of sedentary agitation. Get up and do something. The only thing that weakens worry is work. And so I will be working for Marie Corfield as well. God bless.